The grainy image flickered on the massive screen, a stark, cruel contrast to the polished trailers that had preceded it. There she was, Maya Thorne, 24 years old, vibrating with raw, terrified hope in a cramped Los Angeles apartment bathroom, her reflection in the medicine cabinet mirror, her only audience. She was delivering Cordelia's mad scene from King Lear, her voice cracking on "Howl, howl, howl," not with regal despair, but with the desperate strain of someone pushing far beyond their vocal limits after 3 sleepless nights fueled by cheap coffee and ambition. "Oh, God, make it stop!" A voice, high-pitched and laced with mocking laughter, sliced through the stunned silence of the exclusive Bel Air screening room. It belonged to Skylar Finch, the Skylar Finch, Golden Girl, Hollywood's current darling, and the undisputed frontrunner for the role Maya had poured her soul into auditioning for, the lead in the prestige drama Whispering Canyon. The clip, Maya realized with a wave of nausea so intense she gripped the plush velvet armrests until her knuckles turned white, was her self-taped audition, the one she'd agonized over for days, filmed meticulously with her phone propped on a stack of books, the one she'd sent directly to the notoriously private casting director, Eleanor Vance, the one meant for professional eyes only. And here it was, playing as the punchline at Skylar's pre-victory party, a lavish affair thrown by her agent to celebrate the role Skylar hadn't officially landed yet. But everyone knew she would. The room, packed with industry glitterati, agents, minor celebrities, and sycophants, erupted in titters. Not full-blown laughter, but that insidious, humiliating kind. A ripple of shared superiority at someone else's naked vulnerability. "Look at her eyes. Is she having a stroke?" Skylar crowed, pointing a perfectly manicured finger, champagne flute dangling precariously. "And that noise." Seriously, Vance considered this. For Cordelia? More like Cordelia after being hit by a bus. Maya felt the heat rise from her chest, engulfing her neck, flooding her cheeks. It wasn't just the public evisceration, it was the violation. That audition tape was a piece of her raw, unguarded heart offered up in hope. Skylar hadn't just stolen the role. She'd stolen Maya's private struggle and paraded it as a grotesque carnival attraction. The final frame froze, Maya mid-howl, eyes wide with effort that now looked merely ridiculous. The applause for the joke was scattered, uncomfortable, but it existed. Skylar took a theatrical bow. Maya didn't remember leaving. One moment she was molten shame in a velvet chair. The next she was stumbling down the manicured driveway, the sounds of the party, the music, the laughter, morphing into a demonic chorus chasing her. The Uber ride home was a blur of neon lights reflecting in her silent tears. She didn't cry for the lost role, not entirely. She cried for the dignity shredded, the hope crushed under the stiletto heel of Skylar Finch's casual cruelty. The official rejection email from Eleanor Vance's office arrived the next morning. Polite, impersonal. "Thank you for your time. Many talented candidates. Best wishes for future endeavors." Maya deleted it without finishing. The unofficial verdict had been delivered last night, live and in cruel technicolor. The weeks that followed were a gray fog. Auditions felt pointless. Every callback seemed like a potential trap, another opportunity to be someone's joke. Her agent Brenda, a pragmatic woman with a weary smile, tried. "Shake it off, kid. Hollywood's a bitch. Finch plays dirty, everyone knows it. Focus on the next one." But Maya couldn't shake the image of her own desperate face magnified for ridicule. She stopped going to industry mixers, avoided social media, where Skylar's Whispering Canyon casting announcement trended with gushing emojis. She retreated, licking her wounds, working soul-crushing shifts at the grind, a hipster coffee shop in Silver Lake, serving overpriced lattes to people who vaguely resembled the people who'd laughed at her. Revenge wasn't a conscious plan. It was a dull ache, a constant throb beneath the surface of her depression. Then, 3 months after the Bel Air debacle, the ache found a focal point. She was wiping down tables after the lunch rush when a familiar, grating laugh cut through the indie folk playlist, Skylar Finch, flanked by her perpetually anxious assistant Chloe, and a sleek man Maya recognized as her agent, Marcus Bellwether. They commandeered the large corner table. "And Vance is finally listening to me about the rewrite," Skylar was saying, her voice carrying effortlessly. "Cordelia needs more edge, Marcus. More me. This tragic victim crap is boring." She took a delicate sip of her matcha latte, made with exacting, wasteful precision, almond milk heated to precisely 145 F, 1.5 scoops, no foam. Maya kept her head down, wiping with fierce concentration. She was just another invisible service drone. "Eleanor's protective of the source material, Skylar," Marcus cautioned, tapping his tablet. "Pushing too hard might backfire." Skylar waved a dismissive hand, a diamond bracelet flashing. "Please. She needs me more than I need her. This project is her comeback bid after that indie disaster. Without a star of my caliber attached, it's straight to streaming oblivion." She leaned forward conspiratorially, though not bothering to lower her voice much. "Besides, I have leverage. Remember that little indiscretion? The one involving the missing petty cash from her last production office? Chloe here dug up the paperwork, a well-placed whisper to the right gossip blog." She trailed off with a satisfied smirk. Chloe, the assistant, flinched almost imperceptibly, her eyes darting down to her untouched tea. She looked exhausted, shadows under her eyes stark against her pale skin. Maya froze, the damp cloth heavy in her hand. Leverage? Blackmail? Against Eleanor Vance? The woman known for her fierce integrity? Skylar wasn't just entitled. She was playing a dangerous, dirty game. And Chloe, the timid assistant, seemed to be her unwilling accomplice. The seed of an idea, dark and thorny, sprouted in Maya's chest. It wasn't just about her humiliation anymore. It was about this toxic machine Skylar operated, crushing anyone and anything in her path to stay on top. Maya wanted to break that machine. Not with violence, not with screaming matches, but with something far more destructive in Hollywood. Exposure. Cold, hard, undeniable truth. The plan crystallized slowly, meticulously, fueled by late nights hunched over her laptop in her tiny studio apartment, the glow of the screen reflecting in her determined eyes. She needed evidence. She needed allies. She needed to become invisible. Her first target was Chloe. Maya started frequenting the yoga studio Chloe used, a pricey place in West Hollywood Skylar undoubtedly paid for. She chose a spot near her, mirroring her poses, offering a shy smile, a murmured, "nice transition" during a tricky flow. Casual, non-threatening. After a week of silent proximity, Maya struck up a conversation in the changing room, complaining about her own demanding, fictional boss in marketing. Chloe's eyes widened with instant recognition and sympathy. "Tell me about it," Chloe sighed, bundling her damp hair into a messy bun. "Mine expects me to know where her lost diamond earring is at 3 a.m., which is usually in her other Birkin." They grabbed smoothies. Maya, under the alias Mia, spun a tale of creative frustration and corporate bullying, carefully mirroring Chloe's visible stress. She listened more than she talked, offering empathetic nods. Chloe, starved for someone safe to vent to, slowly opened up. Not about the big stuff, not yet. But the constant demands, the impossible hours, the public humiliations, the fear of Skylar's volcanic temper. Maya stored every detail like ammunition. Meanwhile, she researched. Deep dives into Skylar's past projects. Whispers online from disgruntled crew members on obscure forums. Legal filings buried in county databases. She found a pattern. Projects Skylar joined often experienced creative differences, leading to key personnel leaving or being fired, usually after disagreements with Skylar. Budgets mysteriously bloated. A small indie film collapsed entirely amid rumors of Skylar demanding costly script rewrites and location changes, bankrupting the production. Conveniently, Skylar walked away unscathed, often landing a bigger role shortly after. Her most promising lead came from a faded article about Whispering Canyon's original screenwriter, Arthur Finch. No relation, a respected, slightly eccentric playwright in his 70s, known for complex female characters. He'd been abruptly replaced early in pre-production. The official line was, scheduling conflicts. Maya dug deeper. She found Arthur Finch living quietly, almost reclusively, in Topanga Canyon. She drove up on a weekday morning, nerves jangling. His house was modest, tucked among oaks, smelling of eucalyptus and old paper. He answered the door himself, a stooped man with fierce, intelligent eyes behind thick glasses, clutching a steaming mug of tea. "Mr. Finch, my name is Maya Thorne. I'm researching the development process of Whispering Canyon. I understand you were the original writer?" His eyes narrowed. Researching or digging for dirt on the golden goose? Maya met his gaze, deciding on brutal honesty. "Both, Mr. Finch. Skylar Finch humiliated me publicly. I believe she operates through manipulation and bullying, and I think she did the same to you." He studied her for a long moment, then sighed, a sound like dry leaves rustling. "Come in, Miss Thorne. I've been waiting for someone to ask the right questions for a long time." Over bitter tea and stale biscuits, Arthur talked. He'd poured his heart into the script, a nuanced, challenging role for Cordelia. Skylar, attached early as a name, immediately demanded changes. She wanted more close-ups, less dialogue, more relatable breakdowns, meaning hysterics, Arthur rasped. She wanted Cordelia to have a secret affair with Edmund. Said it made her spicier. He shuddered. When I refused, citing the text, the pressure started. Anonymous calls implying I was difficult. Rumors started in the trades about my health, my old-fashioned sensibilities. Then Marcus Bellwether showed up with a contract termination and a confidentiality agreement thicker than my manuscript. Threatened legal oblivion if I breathed a word. He tapped a gnarled finger on the table. She used something else, too. My son. He had some trouble years ago. Minor juvenile stuff, sealed records. Somehow Bellwether knew. Hinted that unpleasant details could resurface, damage my family. Maya recorded his testimony discreetly. It was gold, but she needed more. Tangible proof. She turned her attention back to Chloe. Their friendship deepened during yoga and coffee breaks. Maya shared more of her own, fabricated woes, creating a bond of shared victimhood. One day, after Skylar had thrown a phone at Chloe, missing but leaving a dent in the drywall because a reservation was wrong, Chloe broke down. "It's not just the tantrums, Mia," she whispered, tears streaming down her face in the sanctuary of Maya's car. "It's the thing she makes me do. The lies, the covering up. Last month she hit a parked car, made me report it stolen. I had to talk to the police. and the way she treats people. She sabotaged that girl, Maya Thorne, you know? The one whose audition tape she played? Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. Sabotaged. Chloe looked around furtively, even though they were alone. She found out Maya was a real contender. Eleanor Vance actually liked her tape, apparently. Skylar couldn't have that. She got hold of Maya's private number somehow, sent her anonymous texts, really vile stuff, pretending to be Vance's assistant, saying horrible things about her performance, telling her she was a joke, that she should quit. Then she hacked Maya's email, or got someone to. Found that embarrassing tape she did as a teenager for some college project. Skylar threatened to leak it unless Maya withdrew from the running. Maya felt the world tilt. The vile texts she'd received during the callback period, which had shattered her confidence, making her second-guess every line reading, that was Skylar. The fear of her awkward college Shakespeare parody surfacing. That was Skylar's leverage. She hadn't withdrawn. She just imploded. Skylar had orchestrated her downfall from the inside. "Why are you telling me this, Chloe?" Maya asked softly, keeping Mia's gentle concern in place. "Because I can't take it any more," Chloe sobbed. "I feel dirty, and I'm scared. What if she asks me to do something worse? What if I get caught taking the fall for her? And the blackmail? Against Vance? The petty cash thing?" Chloe paled. "How do you—" "Yes. It wasn't even Skylar who found it. It was me, months ago, misfiled in old invoices. I told Marcus, thinking he should know. He told Skylar. She saw it as an opportunity. She made me photocopy the documents. She keeps them. She keeps them in a locked file box in her home office, along with other things. Notes, recordings she sometimes makes of private meetings without consent." Maya saw her opening. "Chloe, what if you didn't have to be afraid of her anymore? What if someone could stop her?" Chloe looked at her, hope warring with terror in her eyes. "How?" "Evidence," Maya said. "Concrete proof of everything. The blackmail, the sabotage, the bullying. Enough to bring her down. Not with rumors, but with facts. It took weeks of careful persuasion, assurances of anonymity, promises of protection." Maya connected Chloe with a discreet lawyer friend of Brenda's, who Maya had cautiously confided in, swearing her to secrecy. The lawyer outlined whistleblower protections. Finally, trembling but resolute, Chloe agreed. She had access to Skylar's home office when Skylar was at her daily spa appointments. She could get the documents. The day Chloe smuggled out the contents of Skylar's locked file box was the day Maya's revenge truly began to take tangible shape. It was a treasure trove of malice. Copies of the doctored petty cash records implicating Vance's old production manager. Skylar had planned to imply Vance orchestrated it. Transcripts of private conversations Skylar had recorded with directors and producers, often edited to sound incriminating. Notes detailing her smear campaigns against perceived rivals, including Maya, and, crucially, the emails and texts orchestrating the sabotage against Maya, sent from burner accounts but documented meticulously in Skylar's own narcissistic hand. But Maya knew a data dump wasn't enough. It could be dismissed as the ravings of a disgruntled ex-employee, or doctored. She needed context. She needed a narrative. She needed to make the world see Skylar Finch for what she truly was. That's when she remembered Ben Carter, a brilliant, disillusioned documentary filmmaker she'd met years ago at a festival. He'd made a searing exposé on labor abuses in the garment industry, only to see it buried by legal threats from powerful corporations. He'd retreated into shooting commercials, bitter and broke. Perfect. She tracked him down to a cluttered edit bay above a pawn shop in Burbank. He was skeptical, jaded. Another Hollywood takedown. Pass. They eat their young, and the lawyers always win. Maya didn't plead. She showed him a fraction of what she had. Arthur Finch's testimony, Chloe's recorded account, with her face obscured, voice altered, the page from Schuyler's notes about Maya. She laid out her vision. Not just a hit piece on Schuyler, but an exposé on the toxic ecosystem that enabled her. The agents who looked the other way, the producers who capitulated to her demands for fear of delays, the culture that rewarded ruthless ambition over talent or integrity. A film about the cost of unchecked ego in a fragile creative industry. Ben's eyes, dulled by years of compromise, sparked. "You want to call it what it is," he murmured. "Not just a bad apple, but the rotten orchard." He looked at Maya. "And you? The catalyst? You want your pound of flesh on camera?" Maya shook her head. "I want the truth on camera. My story's part of it, but it's not the whole story. Arthur Finch deserves to be heard. Chloe deserves safety. Everyone Schuyler crushed deserves acknowledgement. And the industry needs a mirror held up." She paused. "But yes, I want her to see it coming from me. I want her to know exactly who orchestrated her downfall." A slow, grim smile spread across Ben's face. He picked up a camera. "All right, Maya Thorne, let's make a movie." The next 6 months were a whirlwind of covert filming. Ben, operating under the guise of shooting a bland, behind-the-scenes featurette for Whispering Canyon, a cover arranged through a contact of Brenda's who owed her a favor, gained astonishing access. He filmed Schuyler's diva demands on set, refusing to shoot until her trailer temperature was exactly 68, 5 degrees, berating a young costume assistant for bringing the wrong shade of beige tights, storming off when a lighting setup took 10 minutes longer than scheduled. He captured Marcus Bellwether's smoothly deflecting complaints from the stressed line producer about budget overruns caused by Schuyler's whims. He even got footage of Eleanor Vance looking strained and exhausted, arguing quietly with Schuyler about a scene change. Simultaneously, Maya and Ben filmed powerful, intimate interviews. Arthur Finch, dignified and heartbreakingly eloquent about the destruction of his work. Chloe, her face still obscured, but her voice raw with emotion, detailing the psychological toll of working for Schuyler. A fired cinematographer from Schuyler's indie film debacle, describing how she insisted on expensive, impractical shots that wasted days of filming. A makeup artist who quit after Schuyler threw a brush at her head. And Maya. Finally, Maya stepped in front of Ben's camera. In her own apartment, the light soft. She told her story calmly, without embellishment. The hope, the audition, the sabotage, the public humiliation at the Bel Air party. She showed the vile texts she'd received. She spoke of the despair, the feeling of being erased. And then she spoke of uncovering the pattern, the decision to fight back not just for herself, but for everyone Schuyler had steamrolled. The documentary, titled Cutting Room Floor, The Price of Stardom, took shape. It was meticulously crafted, interweaving the personal testimonies with the damning on-set footage and the concrete evidence from Schuyler's files. Ben's skill made it compelling, not sensationalist. It showed cause and effect, the human cost behind the glamorous facade. The challenge was distribution. They couldn't go through traditional channels. Schuyler's and Marcus's legal tentacles were too deep. Maya's target wasn't just Schuyler. It was the court of public opinion and the industry gatekeepers who enabled her. They decided on a two-pronged attack. First, Maya leaked a carefully edited, explosive trailer featuring Schuyler's on-set tantrums, Arthur Finch's accusation of blackmail, and a fleeting shot of Schuyler's own handwritten note about sabotaging Maya. directly to the most influential Hollywood gossip site, known for its ruthless accuracy. She sent it anonymously from an untraceable server, timed to drop the night before Whispering Canyon's splashy premiere at the TCL Chinese Theater. The detonation was instantaneous. The trailer went viral within minutes. Skylar Finch's overparty trended worldwide by dawn. Reporters descended on the premiere red carpet, shouting questions not about the film, but about the allegations. Skylar, resplendent in diamonds and icy fury, refused to comment, flanked by a grim-faced Marcus and studio security. The premiere was a disaster, the buzz around the film drowned out by the scandal. Reviews, when they came, were tepid, often mentioning the off-screen drama overshadowing the on-screen performance. The second part of Maya's plan was the full documentary's release. Ben had connections in the independent streaming world. They bypassed the majors and premiered Cutting Room Floor exclusively on a platform known for fearless journalism and cultural commentary. The same day, Whispering Canyon hit general theaters. The impact was seismic. The documentary wasn't just watched, it was dissected, discussed, believed. Chloe came forward publicly, protected by her lawyer and the whistleblower documentation. Arthur Finch gave interviews, his quiet dignity resonating. The concrete evidence, the documents, the recordings, the emails, was undeniable. Skylar's denials, delivered through Marcus via press releases, sounded hollow and desperate. Sponsors dropped her. The studio quietly shelved plans for Whispering Canyon's Oscar campaign. Rumors swirled of breach of contract lawsuits from the producers. The final, most personal blow came weeks later. Maya hadn't sought Skylar out. She'd been busy. The documentary's success had opened doors. Offers weren't pouring in exactly, but they were coming. Interesting indie scripts, a development deal for Ben and her to produce more investigative content. She was finally moving out of her studio apartment. She was packing a box of books when her intercom buzzed, unusual for a weekday afternoon. She pressed the talk button. "Yes, it's me." The voice was strained, ragged, unmistakable. Skylar. Maya's blood ran cold, then hot. She hesitated, then buzzed her in. She needed to see this. Skylar Finch looked like a ghost of her former self. No makeup, hair pulled back harshly, wearing oversized sunglasses she didn't remove even indoors. She stood in the doorway of Maya's still shabby apartment, her designer clothes hanging loosely. The aura of invincibility was gone, replaced by a brittle, desperate energy. Why? The word cracked out of her, sharp as broken glass. Maya leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, calm. You know why? Over an audition? Skylar spat, a flicker of her old venom surfacing. You destroyed my career over a stupid role? Maya laughed, a short, humorless sound. No, Skylar, you destroyed your career, over and over again, by being a bully, a cheat, and a blackmailer. I just turned on the lights so everyone could see the cockroaches scattering. That audition? That was just you showing me exactly who you were. The humiliation, that was the spark. But the fire? That was fueled by Arthur Finch, by Chloe, by every single person you crushed to get where you were. I just gave them a voice. Skylar ripped off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed, desperate. Marcus dropped me. The studio is suing me for the Canyon delays. My reputation is gone. Do you have any idea what you've done? I have a very clear idea, Maya said, her voice low and steady. I held up a mirror, and the world finally saw the reflection you've been hiding behind publicists and stylists and lies. That's not destruction, Skylar. That's accountability. Skylar took a step forward, her hand trembling. Take it back. issue a statement, say you exaggerated, that Chloe lied, that Arthur is senile. I can. I can make it worth your while. The old tactic, the offer of a payoff, hung in the air. Pathetic now. Maya looked at her, this broken, entitled woman who had once seemed untouchable. The rage, the humiliation, the ache for revenge. It was still there, but it felt distant, like an old scar. What bloomed in its place was something colder, cleaner, profound satisfaction. "No deal, Schuyler," Maya said, her voice like steel. "Enjoy the view from the cutting room floor. It's where you put everyone else. Now get out of my apartment." Schuyler flinched as if struck. For a moment, raw, unvarnished hatred contorted her features. Then it crumpled into something like despair. She fumbled her sunglasses back on, turned and stumbled down the hallway without another word. Maya closed the door softly. She leaned against it, closing her eyes. She didn't feel elated. She didn't feel triumphant in a loud, celebratory way. She felt clean, justified. The poison Schuyler had injected into her life had been drawn out, purified, and turned back on its source. Weeks later, Maya walked into a sleek Brentwood bungalow, not hers yet, but potentially. Her new agent, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who represented Ben and had championed the documentary, was showing her properties. This one had light, space, a small garden, potential. Her phone buzzed. It was Ben. Attached was a link to an industry news alert. Schuyler Finch formally dropped by agency. Faces multiple lawsuits. Whispering Canyon pulled from awards consideration. Maya scanned the article. A small, genuine smile touching her lips. It was over. Truly over. Schuyler Finch wasn't just humiliated. She was finished. Professionally, financially, reputationally. The revenge wasn't just sweet, it was complete. It was just. She looked out at the sun-dappled patio of the bungalow. The future was wide open, uncharted, bright. She'd fought her way out of the darkness Schuyler had tried to bury her in. She hadn't just gotten revenge. She'd reclaimed herself. And she'd done it by wielding the most powerful weapon of all, the truth, meticulously gathered and devastatingly delivered. The sweetest revenge wasn't just watching your enemy fall. It was building something real, something solid on the ground they'd been forced to vacate. Maya Thorne was just getting started, and the script this time was entirely her own.